enthusiasts and relaxation seekers. My name is Cinephile ASMR, and today we are talking about the newest installment in the Ghostface saga with Scream 6. After the events of 2022's Scream, you follow the four main survivors as they decide to pack up and start their new lives in New York City. But when the imminent threat of a new Ghostface emerges, wreaking havoc throughout the city, they get thrown into a whirlwind that they are going to have to survive to get out of. I have always felt like the Scream franchise has not only remained the most consistent, yet also the most rewatchable and just a purely great time to watch. No matter which one there are, I have my favorites, but each, although following the same sort of formula with a new person or people or group donning the Ghostface persona, it all really does feel different from one another. The first doesn't feel the same as the second from the third, and so on. When that is all said and done, when you take the step back, it makes for a franchise just so seeped in the pop culture references in its time period, and it just is a great time regardless. But with this being poised as the biggest change in the franchise, with it being set in New York City and not in Woodsboro, how does it stack? Well, Scream 6 is not only the most intense, but it's by far the most violent, and I will say again, very different from the franchise as a whole. This movie starts running and really doesn't let up until the very end, with fleeting moments of character interactions and growth, while also some introductions to returning characters and a new cast as well. I loved Scream 5. I think it was not only just a great sequel to the franchise, but I thought it really worked on its own. Of course, not denoting itself as the fifth Scream, but being marketed as Scream. I have my gripes about that, but knowing where this franchise has been going from this sequel, it makes sense, where this really is a new beginning with the old fused within itself. And my favorite aspect of Scream 5 was doubled down for Scream 6, which really was the exploration of the new cast of characters. With the original, you of course had Neve Campbell, you had Courtney Cox, David Arquette, a great central group of characters that you were strung along with for 4 to 5 different movies. But with this, it is only taken to really make you endeared within the siblings of not only Sam and Tara, but Mindy and Chad, these group of people that really find their own together through the harsh situations that they find themselves in. And that is something that needs to be noted, is when you are watching these movies, it really hinges on a lot of things, but mainly the characters, and this being the connective tissue from Scream 5 to 6, it really gracefully transitions it by having some expertly written characters that you love, you laugh with, but you also understand they're not stupid. That is the thing that the Scream franchise has been really great at, has been not making characters as stupid as most common fare in the genre are. And I was also so very excited to see what they would do with the setting of New York itself, and it operates as its own beast. There is about like 3 or 4 different set pieces in this movie that I think are franchise high, maximizing the location to its fullest. And I thought realistically, switching it from the small town of Woodsboro to the big open city of New York would lose a lot of that tension and world building, but no, I was wrong. There is a couple scenes, specifically one on a subway and one in an apartment building, that I just thought were so nail-biting. Again, really tying into the sheer brutality that this movie has. Of course, with Ghostface, for so long, it has always just been the knife. And while that is his signature weapon, yet again, you can tell that this version of Ghostface, the person or people donning the suit, are angry, and before you even realize who they are, which we will get into, you can sense that anger within its movement, within the actions and the kills especially. A minor nitpick, of course, I'm not going to actually fault the movie for this, but I do feel there was a couple moments, a couple shots in specific, where they cut away just a bit too quick for me to really feel like the brutality could have been maximized. I'm not asking for a bloodbath here, but I feel like with how much the movie committed to a lot of moments, it could have gone the little extra mile to show it in other parts. I cannot stress though, what I loved so much about this movie alive in this film. I've loved that actor, and this really gets him some moments to shine. And you cannot talk about this sequel without talking about the reintroduction of Kirby Hayden Panettiere. She is just one of my favorites and is partially what made Scream 4 up there as one of my favorites, and I think her return also felt so fitting. I know the actress was dying and chomping at the bit for her return, and I wanted it to feel cohesive enough, and surely it does. And her presence alone, along with the new cast of characters, makes the twists, while perhaps a bit predictable, very, very rewarding. Now, I have heard a lot of people talk about the first 2 acts of the film being a very tense ride leading to a third disappointing act, but I'm gonna say something, and this might sound completely contradictory here, but on paper, the reveal of who Ghostface is, if you wrote it to me and showed it to me before I saw the movie, I would have told you it is not good. Borderline almost sucking. I'm not gonna spoil just how they integrate it, but to me, the execution and the direction and the set and the finale and the things that build up to it honestly made it work. But the number one thing that convinced me, which made the third act, truth be told, the one that made me fall in love with this even more, was the one actor in particular who is Ghostface. I'm not gonna say if it's multiple people outside of him or her, or just him or her, but wow. And it also recontextualized a scene earlier which had this actor, and I felt like their delivery or just something about this scene which required some emotion was just off. But knowing where it goes and who they are, it just switched something for me. And also, the final thing I will say, the thing that I loved as a huge Scream fan, a horror fanatic, is when you watch a horror film, the thing that I love so much is when you know that you're watching a horror film by horror filmmakers that love their craft, their passion, and the genre. This script is meta beyond belief. That is kind of the theme within all of the Scream movies, highlighting the idea of sequels, of franchises, of legacy sequels, but this visually felt like such a meta understanding of the genre. There is so many brilliant Easter eggs, blink and you will miss it costumes, little objects, that when you see it as a horror fan, I felt so giddy and heard. It just reassured me that, my God, these directors love to do it. This movie has some phenomenal moments. The opening of the film was a complete misdirection in what the genre has done, and I loved the way that it catapulted the rest of the movie. The train subway sequence was great. The utilization of New York was chef's kiss. And again, there is no Sydney in this movie, but when the writing has done such a good job establishing the core four, which has been the siblings, it is just, oh my God, you don't need the old cast of characters, because in that sense, I feel if they really overutilized, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, or Neve Campbell, it would have, to me, felt like they're milking it. But the writers have so much faith in who they have written for the new cast that it has just carried it, and in 2 films did what I'm gonna honestly make the hot take took Scream 1 through 5-ish, like 5 movies to develop, and it wasn't even as good as these guys. I do have the nitpick that I wish it did lean into showing a bit more of the shots of the kills, and I will say, on paper, I'm gonna have to rewatch it, but the idea of the Ghostface reveal is not very good. It isn't the franchise's worst, and it is saved by the execution and the performance. But with all that being said, I have to give Scream 6 a resounding A-. As a die-hard Scream fan, I am absolutely just blown away that 6 movies in, I feel more ready than I ever have for a 7th, a new sequel. That is just crazy. And the fact that I don't think we understand this, Scream 2022 version released last year, I believe in January. They shot, edited, and finished the sequel to this film, also having written it in almost little over a year. A little over. That's just crazy. crazy to me, and it's as good as it is. The filmmaking duo behind this deserve all the accolades because it has boasted some of the best set pieces in the franchise and has made me more excited to see where it goes than ever. Let me know of what you thought of Scream 6 down below, and how does it compare to Scream 5, the rest of the franchise. Stay tuned for a ranking video that you guys have requested. I'm very excited for this one because I don't think it's going to go the way that most people would expect. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You guys are amazing, and remember to take life one frame at a time.